publicity, like we talked in the previous show, the publicity was too low. In fact, some money for publicity had only been released, I think, a week before the game started. So in a way, it was a little bit hard. The fans who have been coming to watch Uganda, in a way, just came because of the vibe, the hype that they had already started seeing on the social media, and also the team winning the first game. There's not been a lot of publicity, especially for games that Uganda is not involved. And that is a problem, because if at all, for example, the quarterfinal, Uganda finishes number 2 and has to go and play outside the country, we might play in a stadium also that doesn't have fans. But for Uganda game, for example, today's game, by the time they opened the tickets for sale, it only took 5 hours for it to be sold out.
No, Fred, are you talking about Kenya or are you talking about Uganda? Because in Kenya, they're selling out in 2 hours.
Yeah, today's game was sold out on Friday. Just within 5 hours, by the time they opened the portal, guys had already bought the tickets, and people are still looking for the tickets. So maybe they're just going to have the drives where they will watch the fan zones, where the fans can watch the matches from elsewhere. But really, Uganda games have been pulling crowds, even from the fan zones in the towns that they've been taking. But there's still that aspect, and it's not. I think it's not a Uganda.
All right. Sorry that we've lost Fred, but I mean, a lot of similarities between, in East Africa and for African football. It is something that is there, and, it's something we need to develop, is that when the home nation is not playing, you do not have a crowd there. Barnabe, 5 hours, tickets sold out. This is truly Chanu Pamoja.
Or maybe Kenyans travel there and, say, let's help our several brothers to Saidiane to honor. But I think for us, we've been doing it well. Even yesterday, we had a match at Nyayo Stadium, and our countrymen and women went there to watch, and I think we gave an example. It's a very good example to other nations on how we should take these matters.
Well, I hope Fred is just there. I mean, he's had Coach Barnabe speak. Fred, thank you very much, Fred Wambu. He joined us from Kampala. In the next hour, we'll be going Kwajirani. Jeffrey Leah will be joining us. Jeffrey Leah, by the way, born and bred in Kenya, but he is Tanzanian. So he's going to be giving us some insights into that. Also, we're going to be hearing from Algeria. So, and everything about this tournament, that is coming up in the next hour. Plus also, just to give you a heads up, and this is from the Cabinet Secretary of the Interior, Kipchumba Murkomen, is in Kiambu County for the Jukwaa la Usalama Kiambu County edition. So we'll be hearing from that too after this short break.
Praise the Lord. My name is Pastor Tim Wangi, and I want to invite you for a life-changing, transformative show.
I was blinded and thrown to the floor on my knees, just like Saul.
Conversations.
Gen Z ni nani? E-boldness mnatoa wapi?
Kuna mentality fulani yenye inakujenga, si a rebellion really, but ni ya ku-question system.
Engagements that are life-changing and provocative.
When you are young, your core business should be to create value in yourself.
Join me, DJ Andy C, bringing to you Kingdom Vibe, full of gospel bangers.
Join us for Angaza Show.
Every Saturday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Only on KBC Channel 1.
And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. And remember, Chan Iko KBC. We are doing the Chan Pamoja 2024 review. We're with Coach Michael Barnabe. And we've taken a look at Group A, part of Group C. We are going to be taking a second look at Group C. And we are going to be hearing from Algerian journalist Wahome Zahi. He did send us, his review of the tournament. And I can tell you, you're going to be proud to be a Kenyan on this. Coach Barnabe, let's now take a look at Group B. We've got our neighbors, Tanzania. Jeffrey will be giving us more of this and the experiences, that he has seen from them. Tanzania were the first team to qualify for the group, for the quarterfinals. 3 wins out of 3, and then a draw against the Central African Republic. Your assessment of Tanzania delivering in this tournament?
When we give it to them, they really did well. And they represented us well. And I think maybe people will say I'm wrong, but I think Tanzania qualifying to the knockouts in a way propelled Kenya, and in a way gave us motivation. And maybe not motivation, but a challenge. We said we have to make sure that our brothers from the other side, we also get to where they are. And to be honest, Tanzania is playing good football. Many of, their members, their wananchi are saying they are playing tiki-taka football. But really, I think they're just fair. They're just trying to, attack more, maybe not hold the ball too much, trying to use spaces, trying to move into the opponent's half very much, trying to hold them down, to pin them down, and think that's what you're supposed to do. But let them not, sing the songs of victory right now. I mean, just wait until, you experience, in the words of my senior and my coach, McCarthy, just wait until you experience what we experienced against Morocco. And it will be. Jamaa wakuwe ready sana, wakuwe tayari tuwaambia. Because it's not easy. And they like to keep the ball. They don't like losing the ball, as Tanzanians. And now they're meeting, a side which is almost, equal or even better than them. So it will be a good crash, honestly. It will be a good match.
And the other team that qualified from that group is Madagascar on 7 points, going through via the head-to-head over Mauritania. Your assessment of Madagascar? Madagascar is a good side, and let nobody lie to you that it will be an easy walk in the park for Kenya, because we've played before, and they really have frustrated us. The last time I think they beat us 3-1. So Madagascar is not easy. We have had, issues with them in terms of, football. They have proved to be better than us. But let us also, quote unquote, warn them that we are not the Harambee Stars they used to know. I think they're doing their homework. And if they sit back, because they are a team that like to build, from their back, from their half, they want to take everything, in calculation, trying to be patient. We will not give them that. We will try to maximize on their mistakes, because some of them, passing is also an issue, and they have a weakness. We know what they're capable of doing, and we will make sure that we get the maximum, position and possession, so we can get to the semis. One team that was eliminated, and this was based on the head-to-head rule, and even if it did apply, the goal difference rule would have had them eliminated, was Mauritania. They played 4 matches. They won 2, drew 1, and lost 1. But it is their finishing that really cost them. 2 goals scored and 1 conceded. Yeah, that is now the repercussion of conceding. As much as we are saying, let's say for us, we did not score too many goals, but again we did not concede. So in a tournament, that's what you have to be careful with. This is not a league; it's a tournament. You concede too much, then you get punished. You score too much, it is in your favor. So I honestly feel
that you have to make, to do your calculations very well when you're approaching this kind of match. You have to make sure that you consider whoever is behind you or whoever is in front of you, because this is just for a period of time. Then if you make a mistake, you're out. And that's what caught them. They tried what they could, but their football, again, with the goalkeeping, I think they had a problem there. Maybe the coach did not think it was, wise to change the goalkeeper from match day one, because he's been the same. And almost every player who played in the first match played in this one. The coach did not see maybe need to alternate or to change his players, though you could see some notable changes in the midfield in the second match, but in the third match, almost everyone who played in the first match played in the third. I honestly feel it's maybe his tactical way of approaching the game, but I think it also costed him throughout.
Well, so there you've had it from Group B, and remember, Tanzania will be playing at home. Tanzania, I know Jeff will be joining Jeffrey Leah in a short while, but the one stadium where, would expect a wild crowd is the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium in Dar es Salaam. From your assessment, the fan turnout, especially because TZ have been playing their games late, as the late kickoff on every match day.
They're not used to these things. They're not used to these things. Some of these, late hours, in a way, give you a headache in terms of even traveling. And we've been talking about it. There are, aspects where, or factors that contributed maybe many, guys or spectators not to be in the stadiums or in the stands. Maybe we will not talk about all of them, but I think all of us in the East African, the hosting nations, we are not used to this to this 7 p.m., 9 p.m., 8 p.m. kickoffs, and also maybe where we are as teams, because Tanzania also on the international scene, they've not been, vibrant. So
actually, it's something that's going to come up, and I want you to react to it. Simba, Yanga. If it kicks off at 9, the stadium will be full.
It will be full.
9 p.m.
That's why I'm saying on the national stage, we are not used to, turning up and, having, you have to be used to something. But they are, vibrant and lively on the Simba and the Yanga side. And I think it is time now that throughout this coming season, Yanga and Simba, sensitize your fans when it comes to the national duty in terms of supporting. Let them come out. I think they had, and they still have a role to play. The two teams still have a role to play in sensitizing their fans to go and watch their national team.
Well, about the Tanzanian league being top heavy, well, there is, we'll be talking about Group C now, and Tanzania has been mentioned in this, the overall outlook of the tournament. Right now, we got this from a friend of ours in Algeria, Wahome. He is a journalist who's in Algeria. He has broken down the performance of the Desert Foxes for us. Let's get to hear from him.
So Algeria came into this 2024 African Nations Championship with not so much pressure. This is a team that, when hosting the tournament at home, that's when the pressure was on them, and they went to the finals and lost cruelly to Senegal in penalty kicks. This time around, they come with the same coach, Majid Bouguera, who was also the coach at the 2021 FIFA Arab Cup, a competition that Algeria won just 1 year prior to the 2022 FIFA World Cup. So this is yet another, we can call it an amateur or a test competition for Majid Bouguera, who many believe is going to be the future coach of the senior Algerian national team one day, the legendary defender for the Algerian national team, the former Rangers defender. So Algeria came into this tournament with not so much pressure and with a team that doesn't really have a clear objective. We saw that some national teams have come to the African Nations Championship with the idea of testing new players that they could perhaps take to the African Cup of Nations. Some came trying to outright win it, and some came to maybe play more young players and use this more as a conduit to future senior national teams. Algeria came with a mix of all of those. They didn't really bring the best players that the Algerian Championship has to offer. They didn't play a bunch of young players. There's a nice little mix. And so we didn't really know what to expect. But they started off this competition with a bang. beating Uganda 3-0, one of the hosts, in their own country. I could say that we didn't really expect them to beat Uganda 3-0 at home. That was one of the more impressive tournaments and one of the most impressive performances of this tournament so far. What I can say is that most Algerians have been very, very impressed with a young midfielder named Bilal Boukarshawi, who plays for CR Belouizdad. He's a player that sort of emerged at the middle of last season. We haven't really had a chance to watch him in CAF Champions League too much, but he's been an energizer bunny in midfield, and he was particularly impressive in that match against Uganda, particularly in the build-up for the third goal, which was probably goal of the tournament. It might be one of the goals of the tournament. It was a beautiful combination play that Sofiane Bayazid finished after wrong-footing the goalkeeper with a step-over, similar perhaps to the Brazilian striker Ronaldo. And so Algeria really got off to a flying start. Couldn't have dreamed of a better start. In the second match, they were going up against South Africa, and we know South Africa is a national team that came into this tournament without really treating this competition seriously. We know that teams like Egypt, like Tunisia, like South Africa, teams with very strong leagues, in those cases, the leagues often take precedent over this kind of tournament. And that was the case with South Africa. The clubs are so powerful that they don't want to let their players go. And so South Africa comes to this tournament with a lot of former interesting prospects, players that maybe played for the South African national team, but that are maybe out of a contract, that are looking to perhaps impress a scout or two, and maybe with impressive performances in this African Nations Championship can earn a move abroad. They're captained by Neo Maema, the Mamelodi Sundowns midfielder, who the club just announced is actually going their separate ways with him. But most of their players, I think more than half, are actually unattached and without a club. And so we didn't really know what to expect from them either. And it was a tough match against Algeria, because Algeria had beaten Uganda, but South Africa hadn't played a match yet, as we have these lopsided groups in the African Nations Championship, some groups of 5, some groups of 4. And it was a very, I would say, even match. I thought the Algerians were better in the first half. I thought the South Africans were better in the second half. And I think it was a fair 1-1 draw. And so I think Algeria was happy taking away 4 points from 2 matches. And then Algeria had to play against Guinea. And Guinea come with a very young squad. A lot of players, under the age of 23, 24. And so it's a side that's kind of unknown to the experts and to the analysts. And this was a match that I thought Algeria was supposed to be favorited in. And it was a match where Guinea took an early lead with a beautiful shot from outside the box, and Algeria didn't really equalize until the last few minutes, and it was again that man Sofiane Bayazid scoring his second goal of the tournament. I can say that Ayman Mahious, the striker for Algeria, who was the leading goal scorer of the previous edition of the African Nations Championship in Algeria, I think he scored 5 goals in that tournament. He's yet to notch a single goal in this one, and that's been a little bit of a disappointment. He's been a marquee signing for one of the CAF Champions League clubs from Algeria, GS Kabylie, and he's just been frustrated time and time again in this edition of the African Nations Championship. He signed for a huge amount of money and is now one of, if not the highest paid players in Algeria. So I think more was expected from him, and he hasn't really lived up to that expectation. And now really it all comes down to this final match of the group stages against Niger for Algeria. If Algeria can really just manage a draw, I think most people are confident that they'll be going to the next round. Still, the coach is looking for a win more than anything else. Niger only have 1 point from the group. So again, I think Algeria are going to be favorites here. This should be, in theory, the weakest side that they have faced in all of Group C, but Niger are not to be taken lightly. They did reach the semifinals of the previous edition of the African Nations Championship just 2 years ago. So it's going to be an interesting match. Majid Bouguera has played the exact same starting 11 in the first 3 matches of Group C play. I'm expecting the coach to line up with the exact same starting 11. So it shouldn't be any surprises. Perhaps the only one might be Sofiane Bayazid, the striker that scored 2 goals off the bench, replacing Ayman Mahious, as I mentioned, who's been slightly disappointing. But overall, I think this Group C play has been higher than expected. We didn't know what to expect again from South Africa. I think they've been good. Uganda, after a very disappointing opening match against Algeria, I think have come back through the likes of Alain Okello, and they're now sitting top of the group with 6 points. So they, I think, have climbed back, perhaps motivated by some bonus money that the president Museveni promised them. So they've actually climbed back very, very well and are now in pole position to perhaps go through if they can get a positive result against South Africa. And I think Guinea have been better than expected as well. Overall, I think I've been very impressed, not just with the Group C play, but with the entire quality around this African Nations Championship, particularly from the East African teams. Tanzania, Kenya, I expect to both top the group, and Uganda, I do expect to qualify out of Group C as well. So I think that for the Pamoja host, it's been great, and I think East Africa really needed something like this to maybe blow a little bit of inspiration, to blow a little bit of energy into the local leagues in particularly in Uganda and in Kenya especially. Tanzania, we know, has the 2 top clubs, and it's a top-heavy league. But Kenya in particular, I was very excited to see that having success from players like Ryan Ogam and Austin Oriembo. So overall, I've been very, very pleased to see how the African Nation Championship has unfolded, and I cannot wait for the AFCON in 2 years' time.
Well, so there you've had it from Wahome Zahi. He is an Algerian journalist. And Michael, three things I want to pick from that. Number one, Guinea in Group C. Yeah. I mean, Fred mentioned it, that Guinea is the side. Guinea really have felt, the pain in this tournament.
Yeah, no one expected them to be where they are right now because of their history in football. But again, this is now the beauty of the game. Surprises, surprises. And Guinea is one of the teams, I think, maybe... but their nation and their league sells a lot of, talents. Wherever a talent is spotted in their league, it is now, exported outside. And so this is one of the, factors that is contributing to their, results as we speak. But again, on the other hand, it is, success. Once you have them, being sold out, for greener pastures, it is good. But we are not looking at that. Many people don't even know that. We are looking at the name. It's Guinea. So you're supposed to perform in a certain way. And you failed. You've not, really shown what you're made of. So questions. But they've tried. I think they have a lot of lessons and a lot of big homework and a lot of things to work on. Now coming into other tournaments are ahead of us. I think they will now have to work harder.
The other one that has come up is, countries with superior leagues. Morocco have taken this. I mean, Tarek Sektibi had the option of bringing in an under-23 side, but he's brought a mix of, youth and experience. But Tunisia,
yes,
Egypt,
yes,
and to some extent South Africa may not have taken...
South Africa
may not have taken this seriously, because even as South Africa play tonight,
yes,
over the weekend, their Premier Soccer League, the top division, where these players are supposed to be sourced, is continuing.
Yeah, they say league is on. Played 2 matches so far, and look at team like one of the heaviest, Mamelodi Sundowns. Mamelodi is the biggest contributor to the national team. They're the ones. They're like now Gor Mahia. They've played 2 matches. Won only one and drawn one. So you can see this is something that probably is sitting heavily on the local clubs. But I think in every country, look at even Tanzania, look at even Kenya. Yes, their leagues are not on, but if they've also been affected in a way because all of those teams are in now pre-season. So working with almost 5, 6, 7, 8 of your players, being out, of the pre-season, it is also something else. Only that, yes, they are training with the national team, but there is something missing. So it is not really a bad thing, only that, it's a national duty, but we have to understand it. The timings are here with us, and we have to accept it.
Well, the third thing is about Tanzania having been considered, a top-heavy league. We're just speaking about the two.
But I ask questions. I mean, why do we have to, mark it as one of the heaviest? I mean, it's only Yanga and Simba. Below that, it's only maybe Azam and,
Singida.
And Singida. I mean, we also have... Why are we should not even compare it to Kenya, because we have Gor Mahia, we have FC Leopards. Now we have a new champion. You understand? We have Police FC being the champion.
And we have Shabana.
And we have Shabana, one of the biggest in terms of fans, fan base. So why are we talking about Tanzania? Actually, ndugu zetu waangalie sana, because we are going past you.
The only time Kenya can play Tanzania will probably be the semis or the final. And talking about Tanzania, let's move over to Dar es Salaam, and we are joined by Jeffrey Lair. He's been part of the broadcasting out in Dar es Salaam. Jeffrey, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to you guys in Nairobi. Hope everything is all good.
Well, I hope Dar is warm, because Nairobi is chilly. It's only that we are somewhere inside a studio, others would be dressed like Eskimos.
That has been experiencing something resembling of chills, especially in the evening. But during the afternoon, it's a normal heat like what you guys have in Mombasa.
Well, so let's get straight to this. Tanzania, their host nation, giving us the opening ceremony. First of all, let's talk about that opening ceremony. It was brief, it was just about 8 minutes, and how it was received at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium.
The opening ceremony was definitely a bit of an amazing spectacle. As we all know, this is a tournament that maybe is shunned in other parts of Africa, but it's a bit of a big deal for us in East Africa. This is a region that has been starved of hosting some of the biggest football tournaments as far as international football is concerned. The closest we've come is the Under-17 tournament that was hosted here in Tanzania 6 years ago, back in 2019, where we saw players like Pape Matar, who was here with the Senegalese team, is now playing with Tottenham Hotspur in England. We also saw the unveiling of the African Football League, whose opening ceremony was also hosted here in Tanzania. Remember the presence of heavyweight football figures like Arsene Wenger, FIFA President Gianni Infantino. Apart from that, we've only been seeing a few CAF matches, club matches especially, and the biggest of them being the two occasions where we've witnessed our clubs making it to the Continental Club Competition finals, Simba and Yanga in 2 of the last 3 years. So the reception for the opening ceremony was definitely on a positive note. We had a good number of fans at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium, whose capacity is 60,000 fans. I think that day the turnout was something between 40 to 45,000, which was not a bad turnout. So it's something a lot of people enjoyed, and it was amazing to see Tanzania hosting the opening ceremony of a continental showpiece like CHAN.
Well, let's talk about the national team, the Tanzania national team performance now. Opening the competition with a 2-0 win against Burkina Faso. Mauritania, they won 1-0, and 2-1 win over Madagascar. And in 2 of those matches, Faisal Saloum, he's now become a proper household name in Kenya. Everyone knows who Faye Toto is now. His performance and overall, who you would rate as one of, the other standout players for TZ?
The performance has been superb. As you know, this is one of the few occasions where we have a local coach, Ahmed Morocco. He's a guy from Zanzibar. He's a former player, of course, and he's a very experienced coach. He was part of the technical bench when we had your former manager, Adel Amrouche. So when Amrouche left, he took over the reins. And this has been one of the most consistent times as far as results are concerned. Winning 3 matches, drawing 1. Some people will argue that Tanzania was paired in a bit of an easy group compared to our neighbors, Uganda and Kenya, who have had to do with teams like Algeria, Morocco, and South Africa. Nevertheless, it's never easy to win 3 football matches in a tournament where you are Tanzania, a country that doesn't exactly have the biggest experience when it comes to qualifying for CAF national team tournaments. So if you ask me, this has been a good performance, which can be graded if we were issuing marks in school. This is something between 85 to 90% out of 100. So, but then people will tell you that the real tournament starts when the knockout stages of a tournament comes. So the real challenge lies ahead rather than what we've gone through. So it's a good job that Hamedi Morocco has done so far. Let's just hope with a little bit of more luck, things will be better in the knockout stages.
Well, let's talk about, the draw with the Central African Republic. What was the reaction, the public reaction to that?
People are frustrated because they expected an easy win. The coach made some rotations. Some players like our best local striker right now, Clement Nzize, who is playing for Yanga, just a few weeks before joining Esperance, as reports are saying. He was out of the squad altogether. The best left back in the country, Mohamed Hussein, who just signed for the Yanga from Simba, he was also not part of the matchday squad. Simba's right back, who was also one of the captains of the team, Shomari Kapombe, was also not part of the team. So the rotations had some effects because we had a guy like this striker from Tabora United, Kilika. He's never played for the national team before. This was the first time he was actually playing at the Mkapa Stadium as the lone striker. So those changes had a bit of an effect, albeit not a very negative effect because we didn't lose the match and a clean sheet was kept. But the fans weren't very fond of the changes that the coach made. But if you ask me, I think it was important to make the changes because these are players who are part of the squad, so they had to play. You cannot have just a team that is based on the starters alone without giving a chance to other players. It's the same thing I think Benny McCarthy did in the penultimate match for the Harambee Stars when you guys were playing Zambia. So it's the same thing. I can understand the fans' frustrations, but they also need to understand that the coach made the right decision rotating the team.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about the other teams in the group, particularly in Madagascar, who will be traveling to Nairobi to face Kenya on Friday evening, and how you've assessed them, and also Mauritania, who not effective in front of goal and thus were eliminated based on goal difference rather than a head-to-head because Madagascar and Mauritania ended 0-0.
Madagascar is one of those teams that have impressed me so much. I've been watching their matches. I was at the stadium when they last played Central African Republic. This was last weekend. They won that particular match, I think, 1-0. They have a team that is composed of experienced players. Their captain, Dax, is a former Kaizer Chiefs forward. Some of the players have been really, really impressive, and I can tell you that Kenya will definitely have a worthy opponent in their hands. One thing that Harambee Stars and Benny McCarthy should not do is underestimate them just because you guys played much stronger teams like Congo, Morocco, Angola, and Zambia. But Madagascar will be no pushover. They head to that particular quarterfinal match with Kenya with very little pressure because they have nothing to lose. Everybody expects Kenya to win, but it's not going to be easy because Madagascar have a very, very formidable team.
Well, and
of Mauritania, I think it's also the fact that Madagascar scored 2 goals in their last match that helped them, because at the end of the day, you need to score goals, you need to create chances, and that's what failed Mauritania. But they also have a very good team. I think one of the results that really, really hurt their cause was the way they lost to Tanzania via a very late goal by Shomari Kapombe, scored at the 89th minute. Maybe that point could have carried them much further, you never know. But nevertheless, they still left Chan with something to build on.
Well, Jeffrey, let's now talk about Morocco and the expectations, knowing that Morocco finished second in Group A, and so they will be traveling down to the place that is known as Mkapa to face Tanzania on Friday night.
I can assure you it's going to be a very tough match. Our history against Morocco is not a very good one. The last time we had a good results against them was back in 2013. This was the Morocco that had players like Marwan Shamak, guys like Nourdin Amrabat. So it's not going to be a very easy match. Morocco is a team that doesn't always lose. And I think losing against Kenya must have been bad news for teams that will face Morocco after that. Because, Morocco is one of the best teams in Africa at the moment. they are going to host AFCON this year, and every player in this current Moroccan team is right now looking for perhaps 5 positions that will be open in Walid Regragui's squad, because Morocco is full of internationals, the likes of Ashraf Hakimi, Hakim Ziyech, Sofiane Amrabat from Fenerbahce and all that. So they already have a team, and they are treating this CHAN as a bit of a build-up that will give them a picture of which one of the local players they are going to take to the AFCON that they are going to host, which will be held at the end of this year in December. So the fact that they already lost against Kenya makes them very dangerous opponents, because Morocco is not a team that goes into tournaments losing 2 games. So it's going to be very tough for us, but the fact that we'll be playing at home is a big bonus. I expect a big turnout from the fans, because the turnouts have been inconsistent, but I believe once the knockout stages begin, we'll see bigger crowds at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium. So the Tanzania national team should not be scared of Morocco. We've played them a few times. We're in the same World Cup qualifying group. So it is going to be a very, very tough match. And, you know, with knockout, anything can happen. And there are no underdogs in African football, as Kenya rightfully showed by beating tournament favorites Morocco and Congo. And I believe Tanzania have the right blueprint by watching what happened when Morocco met Kenya. And I believe they met Morocco. He'll spend a lot of time watching that match. I'm not so sure if he will go as far as maybe picking his phone and calling Benny McCarthy. I don't think that will happen, but definitely watch what happened when Kenya faced Morocco and pick a few tactics of what happened. And maybe Tanzania will be having a bit of an outside chance, but Morocco will be favorites nevertheless.
Well, Jeffrey, this is what I'm going to do. And just remind me, just after 12 o'clock, I need to send you a video of Benny McCarthy's post-match press conference. It's not going to, it's not going to give him very many friends in Dar es Salaam, I can tell you. But, you know, besides that, Zanzibar at the Aman Stadium, they've been hosting Group D, and I think the shock result was on Tuesday evening. Sudan beating Nigeria by 4-0. Before that, Senegal had won by, you know, had beaten Nigeria by 1-0. Senegal eventually drawing with Congo-Brazza. But the story is coming in from, you know, the Cashew Nut Island.
I've lost you guys.
All right. Okay, let's just repeat that question. Yeah, Zanzibar hosting Group D. Nigeria losing 2 matches, especially on Tuesday, losing to Sudan by 4-0. And Senegal almost getting shocked by Congo-Brazzaville. The story is coming from Zanzibar.
Everybody was shocked to see Nigeria not only losing, but losing in a bit of a humiliating way, because Nigeria, as a football nation, is miles ahead of Sudan. But like I told you, there are no underdogs in African football these days. Sudan have a very good coach, Kwesi Appiah, and also the Nigeria team is a bit limited because of the quality of players that are currently playing in the Nigerian league. The Nigerian team came with, I think, 11 players from the same club side, which is Rema Stars, the champions of the Nigerian Premier League. I think the dynamics of Nigerian football, what caused that, because Nigerian club football is at its lowest right now. Gone are the days when we had giants like Enyimba, Heartland, and way back in the day when you had teams like Shooting Stars, Rangers, and all that. These days, every Nigeria is focused on wanting to go to Europe, which means that those who are left behind playing in the local league are not exactly what Nigeria has to offer as far as the creme de la creme of Nigerian football or Nigerian talents is concerned. So that means that they had a team that had very little chance to compete at this CHAN tournament. And I think the they were also hurt by the changes they made, because they made a bit of a weird change towards the start of this tournament, whereby they did away with the coach who was there during the qualifiers and brought in the senior Super Eagles coach, Eric Schell, the Malian French national. I think that meant that the Nigerian team was a bit different from what we saw when they were qualifying. Because sometimes when two teams meet in a tournament match, it's not about who is better in the general perspective of who is better, but rather who has the better tactics to win a football match. Because nobody is going to convince you that the Kenyan team is better than the Moroccan team. But when they met, because Kenya have a very good coach in Benny McCarthy, who was brought together a very solid group of Kenyan local players who are also very young and ready to fight and ready to showcase their talent. All that conspired and brought Kenya a victory when they faced Morocco. It's the same thing that happened when Kenya was facing Congo. Congo is ahead when it comes to club football, when it comes to national team football, is ahead of Kenya. But Benny McCarthy had the right tactics on the day. And if you can go back to what the Sudanese national coach, Ghanaian former manager Kwesi Appiah said, he said Nigeria don't have a bad team. I think they just had maybe the wrong tactics on the day, which gave an advantage to Sudan. And another advantage that Sudan have is that they have a national team that has been together for a while. It's the same national team that also plays in AFCON matches, because they bring players from the two clubs, Al Hilal and Al Merrek. So that was enough to bring up a decent team that meant Nigeria didn't have a chance. Talking of Senegal, they remain to be one of the favorites for this tournament because they've won it before, and they have a very good crop of locally based players from teams like Generation Food, which was one of the best academies in Africa. So it was very unfortunate that Nigeria were humbled and lost 4-0, but I believe Sudan will be one of the teams that people should watch with a very close eye, because they are not mentioned as one of the favorites, but they might just as well shock everyone because of what is actually happening right now in Sudan. If you go back to when CHAN was played in 2012, people need to remember the Libyan national team that took part when actually there was a war raging on in Libya. We all understand there's been a lot of political instability in Sudan, and sometimes things like that might motivate players to go all the way. So I won't be shocked if Sudan actually surprise people and go all the way.
Well, very interesting. And I know Dar es Salaam has got another 2 matches to host. That is 1 quarterfinal and 1 semi-final. Overall, just give us your assessment of attendance in the stadium. I know Kenya has been on the African news for all the wrong reasons when it comes to, ticketing, crowd management and everything. We're just waiting for, the assessment of yesterday's matches. But from the Tanzanian and Zanzibari perspective, the turnout and, the work to try and bring in people into the stadium.
One thing about Tanzanian football is that it has its own dynamics, and those dynamics have directly to do with the biggest club sides, which are Simba and Yanga. These are the crowd pullers when it comes to Tanzanian football. And sometimes what happens in those football clubs translates directly to what happens in the national team. Now, this particular time, the team has not been dominated by players from both sides as we are used to back in the day. Ahmed Morocco has called up a side that has players from other teams, other parts of the country, like the goalkeeper, Yakub. He's a guy who was playing for JKT. He comes from Zanzibar. You have players like the striker who played on Saturday. He's a guy who plays for Tabora United. He comes from Zanzibar. So some things like that might cause what has been seen. But then Tanzanian fans are also very fond of showing up to the stadium when there's a big match. And as you will agree with me, the group that Tanzania had a lot of minnows, with all due respect, because Mauritania, Central African Republic, and Madagascar, as well as Burkina Faso, when it comes to CHAN, these are not some of the biggest teams because of the kind of players that they have in those teams. I'm 80 or 90% sure that if Tanzania was in Kenya's group and the vice versa, a lot of people would be showing up to the stadium because they were also interested in seeing the Congolese players, seeing the Moroccan players, seeing the Angolan players because of the weight of those teams, the names involved, and things like that. Which is why I'm a bit sure that you are going to see a different crowd on Friday when Tanzania will be playing Morocco, because people will want to see the Moroccan players. So it is the same thing if Tanzania was playing Congo, because of obvious reasons. I think there are 2 or 1 player from the Congolese national team who have already signed for Tanzanian clubs, and that would have been reason enough for people to come to the stadium. So those are the dynamics of Tanzanian football, which is a bit different with Kenya, which has different dynamics where you have teams like Shabana, but where you also have authentic football fans who just love football for what it is, regardless of what happens to their club sides.
Well, overall, the overall experience in Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar, what's been the takeout for you for CHAN Pamoja 2024?
It's been a great experience, I can assure you. Like, as for me, I'm not someone who goes to the stadium a lot when the Tanzanian league starts, because most of my work is in the studio doing commentary or analysis. But it's been a great experience. I've been to the stadium. I'm still hoping to come watch the Harambee Stars in Nairobi. I'm not so sure if I'll make it for the quarterfinal, but my prayer is for them to make the semifinals or the finals so that I can come down there and watch for that experience. But it's been a great experience for everybody involved, because this is a first for us. And we are hoping that this will be a learning curve ahead of for what lies ahead when 2027 comes, when we'll be hosting the real thing, the AFCON with the 3 East African countries. So it's been a great experience, nevertheless.
All right, thank you very much. And Jeff, you know, Kenya ni nyumbani. For you, Kenya is home. So you're always welcome. Your seat is, if we still have to do with 27,000 tickets, then we'll have to ask CAF to publish the official ticket as 26,998, because Fred from Uganda also wants to come. So there'll be 2 tickets reserved for. Asante sana kwa kucheza kama wewe asubuhi hii. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. No, we'll keep in touch, and remind me to send that Benny McCarthy videos, because I didn't do it. He said it, so I'm sure I'm not going to lose any friends.
I'll make sure it goes viral in Tanzania.
All right. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Hope to see you Friday or even next week when Kenya hosts the final.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Well, Jeffrey, he is part of the broadcast team in Tanzania for CHAN 2024. And Barnabe, something he said. Yes. It's about organic fans before we even get over to groups, finish, complaining about Group C and Group D.
Yes. He talked about organic and authentic. I don't know. Honestly, he's talking about maybe, trying to relate the low turnout in the stands in Tanzania, because of maybe the kind of group that Tanzania was in, that maybe Tanzanians saw no need of, there was no really, yes, hatutambui hizi teams zinazokuja kucheza. But I think there is a very big difference. We showed love because we could see even when the national team was playing, the stadium was, you know, I mean, it was almost so empty.
45,000.
45,000. So you can tell me, yes, when others are playing, but at least if your national team is playing, that's something else. For Kenyans, we are showing up even in matches that do not even concern us at Nyayo Stadium, you know, in a way. But I think there is the love of football, you know, the original love of football and the real love of football. And the difference between us now and them is that they are trying to love football. For us, we do love football because we have fans and other people who do not even know much about football, but we as Kenyans, we have that thing, yeah, kuchochana, and we have to go. So we are miles away, you know, ahead of them in terms of, you know, even mobilization, because I've not really, I think they had also issues in terms of mobilization and sensitization, because we had good steps, you know, taken by the federation and of course by the government to make sure that every Kenyan is aware that
actually,
I can
tell you, yeah, I can tell you from, you know, from where I sit, yes, is that there were some things that came late, but for Kenyans, they simply wanted.
Yes, and
to be in the state.
The Kenyans knew about Chan way before even, you know, we started advertising and, you know, mounting billboards.
Before we even qualified.
Yes, before we even qualified. So we actually, the issue of tickets and, you know, being sold out came in even almost a week before the kickoff. So Tanzanians still have a lot to do, and we understand them.
We'll watch.
We understand them.
No, we will be watching on Friday. You know, Jeff is still online. He might be hearing you.
but they're not going past quarters, though. They know that.
They know that?
Yes, they're not going past quarters.
Sasa hapo, no, we've, I think I'll... Are you the new admin on the KBC Facebook page?
I was like, no. is this a...
So, because the way you're speaking is, you just might be the guy, because we are yet to identify him. But anyway, let's talk about, you know, Group D. Senegal, yeah, the holders, yeah, they were held to a 1-1 draw, yes, by Congo-Brazza.
Yes.
And Nigeria, hammered by Sudan by 4-0. That left everyone agape. The matches are being played tomorrow. Senegal against Sudan, by the way, it's going to be live on KBC Channel 1. Nigeria against Congo-Brazza is going to be on Y254 tomorrow, 8 p.m.
Deciders, of course. Sudan playing against Senegal. Do you know, actually, almost a month, in a month's time, they will also play in the World Cup qualifiers, if I'm not wrong. Sudan and Senegal. It will be a repeat. So, for me, I think you have to take your chances, choose your chances whenever, you know, you have them. So that's what the Sudan did against Nigeria. There was no underration whatsoever, because the match was almost you know, balancing in the first 15-20 minutes, but everything now turned upside down for them. So for me, Senegal should not go into this match thinking that this is the ordinary Sudan that we know, because tactically they are very good. They want to suffocate you. They want to pass many balls in their own half, so that they invite you, and then just one long, and you're done. So Senegal has to be very, very careful, and I think this might, you know, experience less goals, maybe 1-0 or 2-1, but I'm rooting for Sudan, honestly.
But let's take a look at Sudan, and, you know, the country is in turmoil, so their league activities, you know, will be considered low, but yes, the majority of the squad is coming from one club, yes, Al Hilal Omdurman.
And it's a good club.
It's about 8 of the starting 11 against Nigeria were Al Hilal players.
Yeah, many people have been asking questions as to why such, you know, thing should happen, especially for a coach up here who is, you know, trying to pick. Why should you pick a lot of players? You know, you have to consider many things. There are structures, their kind of football, you know, the philosophy that the club is playing. And once you cannot pick players just because they are coming, at trying to balance or something. No, if they're good, they're good. And Al Hilal has proven even in confederations, we've seen them play, in friendly matches outside Sudan, and they have dominated that league for a long time. So I think there are structures that are working, and the players have proven that, yes, even if we're coming from one team, but we know what we are doing, and we are capable of delivering, and they're doing it. Going past the likes of Senegal is amazing. It's a surprise. We didn't expect that.
Well, and remember that those matches are being played tomorrow. We'll be coming back to Group C because that's where the focus on the action is. But for Nigeria, Jeffrey has mentioned, and actually I've even seen on the commentaries, is that when you take a look at the Nigerian Professional Football League, their top division, I think has got 20 or something teams or so. 16 are owned by state governments.
Yes.
4 institutional. Yeah. Now, I think, so when you look at it, we talk about God, we talk about AFC Leopards, we talk about Shabana. Here, we can, you can talk about some clubs that are down in the coast. Think of Mvita United.
Yeah.
Mwatate. Something that makes, that resonates with the community one way or another. How? How, crazy is it that, you can't explain to somebody unless you understand this dynamic, then Super Eagles style precedes what we are seeing at Chan.
Yeah, it's been tough, I think, for them, because even the coach once admitted it in an interview that selection is also something else. Considering again with the population and the number of people there and the players who are super talented in there, and most of the time you have to be very careful and try to consult widely. And when it comes to now, clubs owned by state departments,
state governments,
yes, we have seen it in Kenya, but it's not worked really because some of these teams owned by maybe county governments or being funded by the county government, sometimes it is not for a long time, or it does not really, that team does not really survive for long. But there, I think they have some structures, but again, it's working against them, because you see what is happening in Chad is a true revelation of how the style is not working. I think they just need to make sure that they think again. Having teams that are owned by the community, it brings that sense of belonging, and the fan base grow. Having in mind that this is our team, we have to support this team with everything we've got, financially, physically. So that is the best thing about having a team that is coming from the community. Look at FC Leopards, look at the Gor Mahia, and Shabana. You don't need to shout for them to come to stadiums. But for me, I think Nigeria has to do something about their league. International players, the Lukman of this world, they are really good. They are okay. Structure-wise, they have tried. But the local players, there is something that has to be done. I think the whole technical bench should sit down and evaluate. And this CHAN tournament should be a lesson, and should give them every reason to sit back, try to see what is not working, so that maybe in coming tournaments they can try to improve, because this is not the Nigeria we know.
Well, there it is. And tonight, Group C action is going to be live on KBC Channel 1 and Y254. Niger, let's take a look at, yes, the Group C action. We're going to have Uganda playing against South Africa. That is going to be live on KBC Channel 1, and that is from 8 p.m. Join our team actually from around 6:50 p.m. as we build up to that game, a full 1 hour build up towards that game. And Algeria against Niger is going to be on Y254. Bararukumu is going to be anchoring that. Also join us 10 minutes to 7 as you know there's a build up to that game that kicks off at 8 p.m. Which way? Because this is a group that is tricky. Uganda 6 points, Algeria 5 points, South Africa 5 points, Guinea 4 points, but they're out, given that they've already played their 4 matches, and Niger also out, given that they can be, the most number of points they can get is 4.
I think this is the last. This will be the last match, match day.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So again, Ugandans are not safe. They're not safe. If they lose this, again, it might be a problem. If you look at the table very well.
Yes, because they lose.
Yes.
South Africa moved to 8 points.
8 points against 6. They have 6. They only
Algeria draw.
Yes, draw.
Head to head, Uganda are out.
They are out. So they have to win this, and it's not an easy one. But we honestly pray for them. Hatutaki kwenda in the semis alone. We want to see them with us so that they don't say, we sini wabaya. No, we want you guys to be there. We want you boys to. But they can do that. They can pull. This is now the time when everyone in Uganda has to kneel down, appear physically, and try to help. If you have never, supported your national team, this is the time. They need you.
Well, I can tell you the fans in Uganda, there's one thing that the Cranes say, Cranes Namutima. It's about loving the Uganda Cranes. Watch them live on KBC Channel 1 tonight, 8 p.m. and Algeria versus Niger on Y254. Thank you very much, Coach Barnabe, for being with us. Also, thank you very much to the people who've supported us, Jeffrey Lea, Fred Mwambu, Wahome Zahi. To you, the viewer, thank you for being with us. Coming up next, Krunzi Mashinani with Sheila Yaro. And after that, Tamrini. My name is Daniel Wahome. Have a good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the stage is set for CHAN 2024. Please watch out for every thrilling goal, every breathtaking moment on our radio stations, on our TV platform, and all on our social media pages. CHAN Iko KBC.
They say the earth without art would just be get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you art and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
All right. Katamana sokani Uganda mane madilo harambe. Katamana sokani Uganda mane madilo yahika. Hello, Kenyans. My name is Tom Boy. I'm a news anchor on Prime Edition. The CHAN tournament is finally here, and Kenya is ready. Stadiums are set for the kickoff, and if you cannot make it to the stadium, don't you worry. KBC Channel 1 and all the affiliate radio stations have you covered. Tune in for the exclusive analysis as well as commentaries brought to you by your true sports partner. And all the conversations are happening on hashtag CHAN
Eco KBC.
Habari muhimu ni zile zinazoathiri maisha yako, na zinapojiri tuko hapo.
Tunakuletea habari zinazojiri nchini na kimataifa.
Hakuna kabila ambayo iko hapa Kenya kwa mwaliko ya mwingine.
Mambo ya matibabu isiwe starehe ya watu wadosi.
Tunakufahamisha